Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Bynum, and I'm here to talk about an article that I chose for this assignment called Pedler in Divinity, George Whitefield and the Great Awakening, 1737 to 1745. Um, First of all, I really enjoyed this article because it dealt with business, and having that part of my background, I really kind of got to dig into this a little bit. Uh, but really, it really focuses on George Whitefield and his attempts at revivals, or well, not really attempts, but his revivals in the 1740s. And one thing about George Whitefield, I always want to say Whitefield. Um, he was a marketing and business genius when it came to this. He was using business techniques to get crowds. He utilized newspapers more than anybody had ever seen during this time period to not only promote his revivals and get crowds as big as they can, but also to sell his literature, whether they're sermons or pamphlets, whatever that may be. He really used business practices as a way to promote in a way that had never been done before. He really did challenge the thought that commerce and religion were directly opposed, and he pretty much proved this otherwise. I mean, they went hand in hand for everything that he did. One of the things that he was really great at was using the printed media. Newspapers were his backbone. He had publishers fighting over who were going to print his books. He made some of them really cheap so the poor could read them as well. And he circulated his works, whether they were sermons, whether they were pamphlets, whatever books, whatever it was. He had a network of people that could help him circulate his writings throughout colonial America that only helped increase the want and the desire to see him preach. Even Benjamin Franklin, it goes into in the article, it talks about Benjamin Franklin. Although he wasn't really he was kind of opposed to Whitefield's rhetoric and everything like that, but he still printed his books because he knew good business when he saw it, and he made a lot of money printing George Whitefield's materials. The use of newspapers, however, wasn't anything new. He just did it differently and better than ever before. And one of the things that he did differently was that he used, I forgot the word I'm looking for. He used testimonials of people that had seen him and how they talked about him in his preaching. One of the things that benefited Whitefield during this time period was that Parliament in England did not renew the Licensing Act of 1694, and newspapers exploded, whether it was dailies, weeklies, bi-weeklies, tri-weeklies, whatever it was. The number of newspapers exploded on the scene, only spreading the word even further of George Whitefield. Now, there were also coffee houses that would purchase these newspapers, and men would come in and, read them, and they could read the latest newspapers and things like that. And that really helped, push his agenda. One of the things that did come up a few times were disputes. Was his behavior acceptable for an Anglican minister? That was what a lot of people were asking. Some must have thought no, because by the time of his second return to America in 1744, there were anti-itinerancy laws in several colonies where he was not able to preach at certain churches because he was not able to move around. Complaints, he loved them because it kept the focus on him and his revivals. And a lot of people fanned the controversy, and that really just, helped him overall. One of the things that I found really interesting in one of the articles, a review from Choi's book, that Choi was looking at him as an agent of British culture who championed imperial expansion. And he was more of an entrepreneur than an evangelist. Since the 30 years after his revivals, he really did more entrepreneurial outlets than I can't talk. Sorry, I got a head cold. Evangelical work. So love the article. Check it out when you get a chance.